Governor, let me ask you about a big story this week. The campaign continuing to deal with the fallout from the offensive comments about Puerto Rico made by a supporter of former President Trump, by that comedian at that rally last weekend. The Puerto Rican community in Pennsylvania factors almost 500,000 people in that critical state, some saying they were absolutely furious about the comments, hurt that former President Trump hasn't apologized. Do you think that this incident could cost former President Trump the state of Pennsylvania, which is critical to winning?
Well, I was there last Sunday at Madison Square Garden when this insult comic at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, hours before President Trump even arrived at Madison Square Garden, made the comment, and the crowd was groaning. I mean, there was not approval from a very supportive Trump audience. So this is not how Trump supporters feel. It's not how President Trump feels. And then, of course, as you reported earlier today, what a comic that no one's ever heard of says something versus the President of the United States calling half the voters in the country garbage, President Biden. I mean, I think this shows two things. One, it's the disrespect of this administration for Americans and their concerns, whether it's the border, whether it's inflation, but it also reflects what we've seen is that that Vice President Harris was part of this cover-up of Joe Biden's capacity.
Well, speaking of that, Governor, former President Trump had this to say back in September on that point about garbage. Listen.
It's not her. It's the people that surround her. They're scum. They're scum. And they want to take down our country. They are absolute garbage.
So, Governor, is it hypocritical to fixate on President Biden's comments, considering Donald Trump used the word garbage to describe Kamala Harris's supporters?
Well, I think what we're seeing here again this week, and whether the parsing of comments from the last 7 days is not what's going to determine the election. I mean, I would be thrilled to be on this show talking about the fact that North Korea is sending troops to Ukraine, that Israel's getting ready to confront Iran over their nuclear weapon. But this is American politics, and this is the season of the last week before election. There's always a lot of name calling in the last week. This has all happened before, but I think in the end of the day, the voters are going to make a decision about their own condition, and people telling them what they should be enraged about because he or she said this thing is not the same as a person's lived experience. If their lived experience is they're having trouble making their paycheck pay for their food, their gas, their clothing, their rent, or their mortgage payment, that outweighs in the end. The economy is what's going to drive voters on Tuesday, not what somebody may or may not have said. Most Americans don't have time to listen to all of the soap opera of which comments people should be concerned about.
All right. Well, Governor Burgum,